Tonight on Western Sports Roundup, you might say things are getting tuned up at Rodeo Houston. The first of the Super Series, Super Series 1, is now in the rearview mirror, and we will tell you who the high money earners are here today.
And then we're going to take you over to Fort Worth, Texas, talk about what we're gearing up for next month, the Resistol Rookie Roundup, a glimpse of the future of this sport, the best it has to offer, and we'll bring in an expert to tell us all about it. And then we're going to talk about this $4 million cowgirl. She now is exactly that after running at Tucson and doing so well on one of her new horses in her trailer. Lisa Lockhart will join us later on the show to key us in on what her life has looked like in the past couple of weeks.
Let's ride.
Howdy, howdy, everybody, and welcome to Western Sports Roundup here on the Cowboy Channel. I'm Kennedy Riggs here with my co-host for the day, Corey Keith, and we're excited for the show today because a lot is happening in the world of rodeo, especially down in Houston. We just wrapped up Super Series #1, the first of 5 Super Series that they're going to be running down there. So we're going to give you a little recap on what exactly it's looking like with the advancers that have now qualified for the semifinals.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be a part of your show today, Kennedy. There's a look at Tyson Durfee. He is a past champion of this rodeo. That same year, he also won his first world title. So Tyson Durfee trying to do it all over again. $4,750 is what he has earned so far at his quest at another title.
Good stuff in the tie down, but let's talk about the bareback. It was all about Cole Reiner last night. $5,625 totaled after the 3 rounds of his Super Series to be the highest money earner there. He was 4th in round 1, 2nd in round 2, and bested it in the 3rd round. Going first, 86 points on Ruby's Girl. So, you know, he's made it to the NFR 5 times, but he ended 2025 in the 23rd spot. So I think he's riding right now for some revenge, trying to make it back there this December.
Yes, he is, and that was a tough Super Series. You saw some household names on that list of bareback riders. But now let's look to team roping, where things were really tight, they might say. Clint Summer, 6-time national finalist, and Jade Corkill, the world champion, 14 trips to the NFR. They win $3,750 in their first round of play, if you will. But Drake and Ross, Smith and Rich, Eggs, and Flake also cashed in Super Series 1 of the team roping.
And then we're bringing it to the saddle bronc riding. Alan Bohr, we've been talking about him tons this week because this wasn't the first time that he put his name on the board. $5,500 total after his Super Series. He went 85 on box cutter for first in the round 1. Tied for first in round 2, and then not the sharpest in round 3, but that's the great part about this format. You can still end up qualifying and advancing for the semifinals, and that's exactly what he did.
Yes, he did, and a beautiful ride he put together right there that you just watched. But now, as we are creeping up on the Resistol Rookie Roundup, why not talk about a former Resistol Rookie of the Year? That is Mark Joyner from Louisiana. He's also a Southeastern Circuit champion. He'll win $5,000 out of his bracket to move on to the next round. At a chance for that title, the Louisiana Bulldogger really starting to put things together.
Hey, here's a girl, though, that we have been talking about nonstop in the barrel racing. Michelle Alley has been the absolute headliner of the week. $9,000 she's pocketed just here within her Super Series because guess what? She won every single round of it. $3,000 every single night. The cool part about it is she sped up with every single round. She was 14.56 in round 1, 14.4 in round 2, and ended it with a 14.35. That is a crazy fast time, especially for a setup like Houston.
So you're saying Stiletto stole the show. But now let's talk about breakaway roping, and why not talk about a 2024 champion at Houston. That is Jackie Crawford. $5,750, all smiles for her in all rounds. 23-time world champion, 4 trips to the national finals of breakaway roping, and oh, that's a fast-running calf right there, but she made the best of it where the opportunity mattered.
You can always count on Jackie to do that when it comes time to do it. But what about the bull riding, you guys? It was quite the story. Roscoe Jarbo ended up the highest money earner with qualifying money, okay? So he ended up with $5,000 going towards the semifinals qualification. Here's the kicker, though. there is ground money involved. So if you're looking on PRCA's website, you're going to see that 2 bull riders ended up with $5,500. That's including the ground money, which doesn't qualify them for the semis. But he ended up with $5,000 that does. So that's exactly what we're looking at.
Yeah, there's a look at all of the winners so far out of their brackets, if you will, that we just looked at right there. Michelle Alley, obviously, maybe the story right now, $9,000. This would be considered her hometown rodeo. She's just about 50 miles away.
Home turf advantage, and you know, if that's her stomping ground, she's sure making them now. You're looking right here at one of the most historic parts of the Houston Rodeo, and guess what? You can catch it all live right after Western Sports Roundup this evening. Super Series 2 is going to kick off with their round 1 right after this, so make sure and keep us flicked on so that you can catch all of that and more, which will be coming right your way.
Yeah, we'll go right into the action following this show, so stick around with us. We do have more to come, and as well to tell you about the story of a cowgirl who surpassed the $4 million mark. Only 2 other athletes have won more money. We'll tell you more about it, but Lisa Lockhart will join us today.
And later on, we'll be joined by a gentleman who has been making quite a good year for himself. Tristen Hutchings is number 4 in the world right now after some recent success in San Antonio. He's going to tell us all about that and maybe a little bit of his personal life too. All of that on the other side of this break.
Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Resistol, the official hat of the PRCA, and Cowboys everywhere. Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Rock and Roll Denim. Live boldly. Live in Rock and Roll Denim.
She is from South Dakota. She is headed for 3. Get around. Get home. Let's go.
Well, that's the queen right there. Lisa Lockhart is her name, and barrel racing is her game. $4 million to be exact under her belt now after that rodeo, as we welcome you back to Western Sports Roundup. And you guys, you saw it yourselves. She just joined the $4 million club alongside the 2 boys themselves, Trevor Brazil and Stetson Wright. So the first lady to do it, and even in Women's History Month. So we bring her in today. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, I want to start by asking, did you even know, was this on your radar that you were inching towards a milestone of this sort when you entered up at Tucson?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I'm not one that wants to look at the standings or worry about those kinds of things. You know, sometimes those things or those great little attributes come with the success if you get to actually have the success in the arena. So, but it's not something that any of us worry about. And, you know, I think it's just great when it happens and it's fun, but it's really not on the radar for me anyway.
Well, so it might not be on the radar for you, but we'll just go ahead and inform you. Number 21 in the world right now, trying to make it to NFR number 20. I don't know if that's maybe one of the most all-time consecutives as well for you. But Lisa, this is a busy time of year, and I know a lot of the rodeos pull you away from home all year, but really this time of year, especially because of the Texas swing rodeos. Tell us how you're traveling this time of year to make it in between all these places.
Well, you know, I mean, it's really busy if you happen to be lucky enough to make the short rounds at certain places and trying to make it all work with the scheduling. So it gets a little helter-skelter, and I'm not going to lie, I don't ever fly. I mean, maybe, gosh, once every couple of years or something. And I actually had to fly from the short round to Tucson to meet up with my horses that I had already taken to Houston because I wanted to be able to have Rosa at the 6 a.m. practice session. So, you know, it's just those little things that make it a little bit more difficult, but, you know, it's well worth the effort when it works out in the long run.
If you don't have a travel and booking agent already, maybe you need one at this point, because I don't know how you can keep all of that straight. But speaking of keeping a lot of things straight, you have a big trailer full of horses, including a newer addition to those horses, which is the exact horse that helped put you over the $4 million mark. So talk to us about this horse. I think Copper is his name. Is that correct?
That is correct. His registered name is Try Firewater. So the little horse that I ran at the NFR, Blazing to Betty, nicknamed Sasha, she's out for a little bit. So with that, I actually needed someone to help Rosa with this endeavor of the winter rodeos. And so Copper is a horse that I've had since he was a yearling, so always kind of special to my heart because I've had him a long time and brought him up and trained him and all that. So, you know, that makes it a little bit more special. And I just kind of threw him into the fire. He'd been to 2 circuit rodeos last summer, very small scale circuit rodeos, one of them being Slack. But I threw him into Denver, and I threw him into the performances at San Antonio and the short round at Tucson. So for him to step up in a big way, winning a little money at San Antonio, doing what he did at Tucson, that's pretty special. He's kind of my heart horse anyway, because he's just real laid back. And I tease that he's my grandma horse because I'm a grandma now, and he's just really easy to go. And I love riding him because he's just super easy and agreeable, and it's just so fun.
You know, we've had some barrel racers on the last couple of weeks. I always love asking this question because each one of you have a different perspective. How do you know when a horse is ready to get turned loose at a place like Denver or San Antonio or Tucson? How do you know?
Man, I don't think you ever know, because you don't know what's going to happen. And they're just animals. And so the fact that, Denver, we got to get in and practice. So I felt a little bit better about that. San Antonio, before my first run, I thought, we don't get into the arena. I just thought to myself, oh, dear Lord, hopefully we find 3 barrels. And, he did great. He actually placed in the first round. And then same way Tucson, we don't get to get in. We don't get to show them the arena. And, Tucson is definitely its own animal. It's very large. The ground is very hard. Obviously, he was trained, at the ranch in a big wide open space. So I felt comfortable about that. And the fact that he's just, willing to listen. I just thought, well, you know what? Keep him standing up, keep him square. And I never imagined that it'd be that fast, but I was just elated that he actually laid down a run like that.
Well, I take this lesson from you and other girls of your likes. I think what makes the best barrel racers is appreciation for the animal itself. I can tell how much you trust your horses, just as much as they trust you. So what is that like? How do you gain such a partnership with a horse like maybe those that you didn't train like Copper, and have a trust between the both of you that's so mutual?
I think I spend a lot of time with my horses, probably to a fault sometimes, but I think it's really beneficial for me to have that bond, to know everything about them, to be able to sense certain things about them. I just think it helps our bond and our communication, which hopefully will follow through in actually the run itself. So that's just something that's really important to me. I spend a lot of time with my horses.
Lisa, I know you've had some incredible horses in your career, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot right now. What do you think your favorite one is? Do you have a favorite?
I knew you were going to ask that. I don't have favorites. It's like being a favorite child, right? I have 3 children, no favorites. I'd be crazy to say that Louis wasn't the horse that changed my life. But the horse prior to that, they got me to my first NFR, horse named Chisholm and Sterling. They were great. Well, I can't say enough great things about Rosa, Sasha, and now, like Copper, and, they all have their attributes, and they've all been such an integral part of the team over the years. And the fact that you can throw them into certain situations and, and that they live up to what you throw them at, and that they can do what they do. I mean, they're all just amazing in their own ways.
Hey, Lisa, I'm also going to put you on the spot here again, and I think this is a fair question, and obviously the floor is yours, but in all your years of barrel racing, in the last 20-some years you've been in professional rodeo, what is one thing that you would like to see change in our sport for you ladies in the barrel racing? I know these animal athletes are so expensive, and it takes so much time to train them. They're special to us. So what can we do to make things better for you guys?
Well, as barrel racers would all agree, I think the ground is of utmost importance. Having it safe, safe footing. And I know we've come a long way with that and trying to make it better. Safe and consistent is huge. We're hundredths of a second, separate what wins and what loses. That I don't think people realize how crucial and important the footing is. And so I think that that's something that will always continue to, strive to get better. And I know it's a very difficult situation, outdoor rodeos particularly, or whatever. So, and I think, what I think is the hardest about it is the traveling. When we get ourselves spread pretty thin, trying to hit all these great rodeos. And so, we put on a lot of miles, and those of us that are timed event contestants, we drive a lot of miles and we haul our animals a lot of miles. So I wish that were a little different. The traveling really takes the fun out of it. But, we love to compete. We'll do what we have to do in order to do what we want to do. And that's to go to these great rodeos. Well,
as long as we have you in the hot seat, we'll nail you with one more. We might as well. I've just loved what a fan club that you've gained over the years. And you've been at this for quite some time, so you do have quite the fan club, including ourselves, I should say. With all these eyes on you, though, what do you think is the most important message you want the world to know? If you could share one thing to everybody that's looking up to you right now, what would it be?
Oh gosh, well, you never know who's watching. And I think if you can do something to inspire people to do what they love, and that doesn't mean if it's going to rodeo at a professional level or not, just the fact that if they enjoy horses, to go out there and do it for enjoyment, whatever level they want to compete at, that there's something out there for everybody. And, we do this because we love this, and it's for the love of the horse. And so keep that in mind. So anyway, I think over the years, I've just learned to be grateful for this opportunity to do what I get to do and to work with these amazing animals.
Well, Lisa, you definitely have a fan club sitting right here in the studio tonight. We sure appreciate everything you've done for Western sports and the world of barrel racing and rodeo in general. So congratulations on surpassing the $4 million mark. What a milestone.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That was Lisa Lockhart doing some big things, continuing to change history as we know it. But stick around. We will talk to that man right there, Tristan Hutchings, on his big win in San Antonio. Stick around with us. You're watching Western Sports Roundup.
Let's ride.
That is a look at Tristan Hutchings' winning ride from San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. It was worth $90.5 to earn him the title at his second Texas Swing Rodeo of his career. And Tristan Hutchings joins us right now on Western Sports Roundup. Tristan, first of all, congratulations and nice ride at San Antonio.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, so I'm going to kind of look back on last year. You hadn't won any money, and you showed up to Rodeo Houston, and almost like a switch just flipped. Kind of the same thing happened this year. I know Fort Worth, you were so close to winning the title here just across town, but man, you've kind of got on that heater again in San Antonio. What is it about these Texas swing rodeos that maybe motivates you a little bit?
Oh, I mean, they're all good. You get more than one chance. You get 3 bulls instead of just one or out. But last year, I basically got started in Houston. I was sitting out from an injury, so I tore my MCL at the finals. So I sat out till after Fort Worth, and I went to San Antonio, rode on my bulls, slapped 2 of them, so I didn't get to move on. Went to several more rodeos, and I rode good. Just didn't draw the right animals. I think I went 9 bulls without winning a check or something, and then went to Houston. When I rode there and stayed on, they paid me. So I got on a little bit of a heater last year, and it started good for my season. And then this year I got to start a little earlier, and I don't know, I just always feel like I ride both good here at Texas Swing Rodeos. I get to come home and practice when I don't do good, so it's a little different than out on the road all summer when you can't really go utilize all your resources.
Well, speaking of utilizing those resources, it kind of helps that those Texas swing rodeos have great stock contractors with great pens and bulls. Let's talk about a few of those. That 90.5 was a great matchup. You had an 89.5 too. We got to watch a couple of those. Delve into those experiences for us and give us behind the scenes.
The soccer mom, he was good. He's just kind of a bull, and I don't know. He used to buck harder. He's got a little age on him now. Everybody kind of was worried to draw him, but now he's got a little age on him. He's pretty good to ride. I didn't think he was going to be quite enough bull, honestly, because I didn't think he looked that good during the extreme bulls. They were only 87.5 on, but in the day that I picked him, he had his trip and looked really, really well. And he allowed me to show off and show a lot of control and spur with that outside foot. The other bull that I was 89.5 on was a Pickett bull. Shad's got a really good pen, and Pickett's got a really good pen, and then we get to get on Pete Carr's stuff too out there, and they always bring good bulls. So it'll be the same in Houston and Fort Worth too. They have great stock.
So you mentioned you picked this bull. Let's step back just for a moment, because leading up to the short round, all you bull riders got to go into a room and you got to pick them. It was totally random draw, and you were the last one to go. So what was going through your mind when you were like, oh, I'm the final one? What's my bull going to be?
No, I didn't want to get on either of them. But that's what I said on the mic, actually. I was like, man, I don't like either of these bulls, but I'll take Soccer Mom. There's a lot of bulls in there that you kind of really want to get on all year. I mean, there's probably 8 out of the 11 or 12 that were in there that is something you love to get on, and I was looking forward to trying to get on one of them. Soccer Mom wasn't on my really want to get on list, but I picked him, and he ended up fitting me like a glove, and it all worked out. But it was my birthday, and so it wasn't the best birthday gift to pick last, so I was kind of down in the dumps, and then all of a sudden, I was down in the dumps the whole day after the draft, pouting like a little girl, and then I won San Antonio, and I honestly couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't know why I was pouting all day, and it worked out as good as it could have, and I don't know. God works in mysterious ways, that's for dang sure. I was in awe after I won San Antonio.
Wow. Okay, so this makes me laugh. I'm trying not to laugh too much because you just said pout like a girl, and it was like the worst birthday gift you could ever imagine, but you turned it in to one of the Tristan, this is funny. I have nothing else to say. This was awesome.
Well, I want to harp on that actually. And on a serious note, what a great lesson to take from you, Tristan. And I think that this is just perfectly aligned with the theme of your pro career. Life has dealt you some tough hands of cards, right? But they have turned into beautiful things for you, silver linings, if you will, including the story of your precious angel mom, who I just imagine next to you at every rodeo that you enter up at. But rewind to earlier in your life. Let's talk about what came before your pro career. What made you into the Tristan Hutchings that we know you as today?
Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, you have one job. That's to stay on your bull. I mean, it's shaped me into a way better person, but at the end of the day, you just got to get your bulls rode. I mean, you can separate who you are in bull riding. The hard lessons kind of made me who I am as a person, and then I guess everything else followed. I just did my job when I went to the rodeo.
So a lot of people might speculate, okay, he's won San Antonio. What does he do? Does he go home for a couple days, hang out on the couch, on the recliner, watch reruns of San Antonio of Kennedy and I on Western Sports Roundup on the Cowboy channel? What's a life like for Tristan Hutchings at home when you're not riding bulls? Tell us what you've been doing this week.
I've been building the elevated parking pad, but I'm trying to put a lot of money and resources into this place I bought. So it's 13 and a half acres, and I want something around 20 to 25. So I'm looking to sell this place in a year or two. So I'm making it what I think would be my dream place to have. So that's what I do in my time off, is work around the house, and it's pretty big projects.
Well, I know you work really hard, and as you can see, your hard work is paying off right here. You're inside the top 5 of the world standings as we are looking at the top 5 bull riders right now, and some very familiar names. Boudreaux Campbell kind of back in the swing, number 5, but you right there with 48,000 right above him, not far from Mason Moody. Off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, I've only been to 6 rodeos, so 48,000 and 6 rodeos is pretty dang good in my book.
That is pretty dang good. In everyone's book, I should say, it's not just yours. But let's talk about a different book, the book of life, okay? I know outside of bull riding for you, not only are you working hard, manual labor on your own property, building that parking pad, but I know that you've also been working on a relationship behind the scenes. You have a wedding coming up. How do you keep up with all of this in your busy schedule while winning big rodeos like San Antonio?
Oh, my fiance, Delaney, does all the wedding stuff. I don't do anything.
The truth comes out
on the day. I show up on the day and I'll be there. But yeah, I get to marry a beautiful woman on October 17th in the fall when we get back done rodeoing. So something I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, Tristan. Well, we sure are proud of you over here at the Cowboy Channel. Congratulations straight from us on the San Antonio win and the wedding coming soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hey, well, let's talk more about rodeos and young guns, you guys. Up next, we're going to talk to a guy that knows all about Resistol, the big brand that's bringing us the Resistol Rookie Roundup coming up here in Fort Worth. All of that and the details that you need to know are on the other side. Well, we're bringing you down here to our backyard in Fort Worth, Texas, where we're getting geared up to host the Rookie Roundup hosted by Resistol. A lot of fun things happening. This is like the human fraternity, like we call it. And we're here bringing you into our studios here at the Cowboy Channel studio itself with none other than the president of Resistol himself, Devin Marcum. He joins us today in studio to talk to us all about the details of what we can get so excited about. So thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having us. Yeah, this is an exciting thing. We're coming up on our 5th year of the Resistol Rookie Roundup. This is a big event for us. This is something that we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into developing, into creating. We find it to be very valuable in trying to give back to the future of rodeo. And especially the future of pro rodeo, as these young, talented individuals come to Fort Worth. We put on one heck of a rodeo for 2 days, but then we put on an excellent training seminar for 2 days, and trying to give them some advantages of how to get up and down the road, how to plan correctly financially, how to be in front of media, how to, as we're here today at the Cowboy Channel, how do you stand in front and do an interview? How do you do certain things? So trying to give them a little leg upon, past or, where we used to be with rodeo people, where they get in the truck, go down the road and rodeo. We're trying to give them a little bit more of an education on how to do it their first year.
Devin, I want to say this. I feel like rodeo has definitely evolved and has changed. In the last couple of years, we have watched maybe some of the most talented rookies of all time. And that's maybe my unprofessional opinion, but you guys have been a part of that for the last 5 years. Tell us the vision of why you started this quest. Well, I think, as with anything, if you don't, put back into the future that's coming in, you really kind of have a big gap there. And so we've been the, Resistol rookie partner for a long time. And, Dustin Noblet, our owner, Ricky Bolin, Mary Jane, myself sat down and figured out how could we make this program really matter and be more than just giving out a buckle at the end of the year. And so, we looked at it, and as you're saying is, it's exciting. You come here and the talent that has come the last 5 years in the rookie class has been nothing short of amazing. Yeah, guys like Keenan Hayes, Riley Webb, I'm just naming off a few that have just been forces to be reckoned with. Yeah, there's guys that come, guys and ladies that come here that we see at the very end of the year that win the rookie, but they're competing right there at the Thomas and Mack. So, you're not just getting where everybody sometimes think your rookies are amateurs. These guys are here, they're running and gunning for that world title as much as they are for that rookie title.
Well, you mentioned this is the 5th year going on it at least, right? So let's talk about what's to come this year, because it sounds like it might look a little different than in years past.
It is a little different. We've taken some, some good advice and some ways of trying to make this a little bit, more competitive so you can see the top people over and over again in case you can't make it Friday and or Saturday. So we're going to go, the top 10 rookies coming into that weekend will be here. There'll be a round on Friday night and a round on Saturday. Both people will come back. Used to be you'd be here on Friday night. If you qualified for Saturday, you'd make it. So we're going to pay the top 4 in each go-round, and then we're going to pay the top 4 in the average. The good thing about this also is the winner of each of the events automatically get a qualification to the semifinals at the American in Louisville, Kentucky. Wow. This is a huge opportunity, not just for a rookie status. And did you mention the top 10 get to qualify? Yeah, so the top 10 that are coming, and we kind of plan this because it's tough, right? There's big rodeos going on right now. So just like every other rodeo, we're trying to vie to get the best talent here. So we picked the weekend that seems to set us up the best for allow that, but it is the top 10 sitting in the standings going to that weekend will get an invite to come participate here that weekend.
This is such an anomaly, this event itself. It's so neat and unique, but I kind of want to know where it came from. You talked about the why, but where did this idea sprout from and how did it come to be?
Well, as we were sitting around the round table and trying to figure out how we could really make an impact on this rookie class, we talked about other sporting events, and I also very fortunate, I'm married into a family that have a Super Bowl champion brother-in-law that, we kind of talked about his rookie year. What did they do? And he kind of talked about certain things that they involved. And, we just ultimately thought, this is a prime opportunity for our brand to kind of give back to pro rodeo, and not necessarily just by giving back on money or support there. Like, how could we truly support these individuals? What could we give them that the other contestants hadn't had before that? And so, we sat and we tried to figure out what would make the best of it. So we'd say, let's put on a rodeo where that money would count for the rookie standings. Well, now that money counts for the rookie standings and also the world standings, right? So now you put money in their pocket, but now let's take and how do we help them invest that money? How do we help them get up and down the road? How do we enter? And so we bring in past, people that are part of our Resistol team. They come into the round table of the events and they give things that they've done well, things that they've done that they would have done differently if they could have. And it's a 2-day crash course in how we're trying to implement and make their rookie season much more impactful.
So we've watched over the last decade, we've watched rodeo come to a level like we've never seen. We've watched fans, everybody's wanting a cowboy hat now. Tell us how this industry has evolved to this. What do you think's drawing people to our industry, to the cowboy in general?
You know, I think it's fascinating. When I started in this industry 16 years ago, everybody always said there'll never be an urban cowboy days, right? So there was something attached to it. And I would say, I think, Yellowstone has had a big effect.
Yeah.
I also think that COVID itself had a big effect. I think it forced people to get outside, to get away. And then as they were starting to branch out, they said, you know what? I kind of relate a little bit more to that Western lifestyle. Maybe it's not how you and I dress, but they're like, I want to be a part of that. And so, it started with a little bit here, and, next thing you know, the most visible thing that you can tell a cowboy is by a cowboy hat, right? And so the cowboy hats allows people to come, put it on their head, to feel like they're a part of the team, to feel like that's some part of a culture that they've maybe have always aspired to be a part of, and now kind of get their little chance. So it's been very interesting since 2020 to see how the Western industry has blossomed. You know what? Cowboy's cool again.
It is cool.
It's
always been cool to me.
Hey, well, you've been at Resistol for quite some time, only in this role for a couple of years now as president, but beforehand, you'd worked for over a decade for Resistol, so you could tell us better than anyone why Resistol, why is Resistol now the hallmark brand that we relate to and associate with rookies?
Well, I think it's always been. I just think that, we as a company have said, we've been sponsoring this program, and ultimately at the time it was the rookies would come down, on the first Tuesday of the NFR, they'd come into the arena, we'd hand them their buckle, and that was it, right? So you'd be, the Resistol rookie, and that's where we left it. And we're like, well, we're kind of leaving this sponsorship pretty flat. And we need to take it because it's something that we're proud of. We're a lot of things we're now doing the Resistol rookie, but it started with the PRCA, and the WPRA. So it's fun to see that grow. For me, a very interesting thing that, I kind of lucked into is, again, talking about the family that I married into. My wife's granddad was the very first ever Rookie of the Year in John W. Jones, and then her dad was also a Resistol Rookie of the Year. They were the first father-son duo to win the Resistol Rookie of the Year. So it's kind of been a full circle on how they've all, came together.
Wow, that's a cool story in itself, and now you get to be at the helm of the ship and leading the way for Resistol as president. But there's a look. If you're not doing anything March 20th and 21st, come down and check out the next generation of superstars. Like we've talked about time and time again on this show, we have watched some of the greatest athletes in professional rodeo rise from their rookie ranks. But once again, Devin Marcum from Resistol, president of Resistol, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us down.
Absolutely. Hey, don't go anywhere. On the other side, we're going to tell you a little bit about the Cinch Timed Event Championship getting ready to take off at the Lazy E Arena this weekend. Who will be the Iron Man when it's all... Well, don't forget this weekend, of course, it's our American Hat Positive Times, the Cinch Timed Event Championship. It kicks off tonight at the Lazy E Arena. Who will be the Iron Man when it's all said and done? A great group of contestants that lined up, and I know there are a few last-minute replacements that will take place at Guthrie here tonight. It is one of the largest events in Oklahoma, and if you've never been, I would encourage you to get a ticket and go.
I heard someone the other day say this is the most cowboy event in Western sports, especially when it comes to timed events at least. These guys have to delve into other things other than their bread and butter, so it's really good watching, to say the least. We're excited to bring all of that to you and more, but let's bring you back into our studios for a little bit more of Western Sports Roundup. I want to bring you guys to our Vetricen top 3 headlines of the day, brought to us by Vetricen Clean Street Heel. And we're starting out with Houston. We talked about Super Series number 1 that just completed and came to an end. We're getting into Super Series number 2 tonight. And remember, there are 5 of these. The top 4 of each one will advance. So we gave you an idea of what contestants exactly qualify for the semifinals and punched their tickets to that performance.
Well, they say great things happen to great people, and I'm a firm believer of that. And if you're a Lisa Lockhart fan, you just became an even bigger one. She just surpassed $4 million, the only cowgirl in the Women's Professional Rodeo Association to do just that. And she joins Trevor Brazil and Stetson Wright as one of the top money earners of all time. And of course, the Rookie Roundup, Resistol Rookie Roundup, it's going to be coming our way just down the street from the studio. You will not want to miss the next generation of superstars as they compete in the Cowtown Coliseum just a few weeks from now.
Good stuff. stuff, you guys, and more good stuff coming your way, as we like to say. Right after this, Houston Super Series number 2 is kicking off with their round number 1. We're bringing you every single second of that action live here on the Cowboy channel. So stay tuned, you guys. This is all coming your way. Thank you for joining Western Sports Roundup for Corey Keith. I'm Kennedy Riggs. Have a wonderful night.